For centuries, it stood as the heart of civilization. A city of marble roads, golden palaces, roaring arenas, and legions that crushed kings beneath their sandals. Rome was eternal until it wasn't. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire collapsed, not with a final battle, but with a whimper, a betrayal, and a child emperor too weak to rule. But how does a superpower fall? What poisons its core? What devours it from the inside out? This is the story of the final days of the Western Roman Empire and how the eternal city was lost. Classical Building Chapter 1. The Glory That Was Rome. Rome wasn't always doomed. At its height, the empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the sands of Arabia. Its legions controlled 60 million people. Roads, aqueducts, language, law. The Romans built a world that seemed invincible. But deep within this empire of marble and blood, cracks had already begun to form. The signs were subtle. A stretched military, a crumbling economy, political backstabbing, and emperors more obsessed with wine than war. By the late 3rd century, Rome was already changing, and not for the better. Crosswords, Chapter 2. Crisis of the 3rd century. The first major death rattle came around 235 AD, known as the Crisis of the 3rd century. In just 50 years, there were 26 emperors, most assassinated. Civil wars became routine. Plagues and inflation ravaged the empire. Enemies, like the Persians, Franks, and Goths, smelled blood. For a moment, it seemed Rome would collapse then and there. But it didn't. One man, Diocletian, grabbed power and tried to save it. Crown Chapter 3. Diocletian's Gamble. Diocletian split the empire in half. The Eastern Roman Empire ruled from Constantinople, and the Western Roman Empire ruled from Rome, then Ravenna. It was meant to make ruling easier. Instead, it divided the empire's strength. Diocletian also created the tetrarchy, for rulers ruling together. But the moment he retired, those co-rulers turned on each other like rabid wolves. Eventually, a new name rose from the chaos. Constantine the Great. Latin Cross Chapter 4. Constantine and the Christian Shift. Constantine united the empire again, and did something no emperor had done. He converted to Christianity. Rome became a Christian empire. Pagan temples were abandoned. Crucifixes replaced eagles. And the new capital wasn't Rome, it was Constantinople. The East became powerful. The West began to rot. Odoacer Chapter 5. The Barbarians at the Gate. From the north came waves of migrating tribes. Visigoths, Vandals. They weren't just raiders, they were entire nations on the move. Driven by hunger, fear, and pressure from the brutal horsemen of the East, the Huns, led by none other than Attila. In 410 AD, something unthinkable happened. Rome was sacked by the Visigoths. Not since Hannibal had an enemy reached the city walls. Now they were burning it from the inside. Rome survived the sack, but barely. Acts Chapter 6. The Final Emperors. The Western Roman Empire became a puppet show. Real power lay with generals, not emperors. One of the most notorious, Flavius Ricimer, a Germanic warlord who appointed and disposed emperors like chess pieces. Corruption reached new heights. The military was filled with mercenaries, many of them Germanic, the very people Rome had once called barbarians. Then came the final act. Baby Chapter 7. Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor. In 475 AD, a boy, barely a teenager, was placed on the throne. His name, Romulus Augustulus. Rome's first king had been Romulus. Rome's first emperor was Augustus. Now, this pitiful puppet combined both names, as if mocking the empire's glorious past. But the real power behind him was his father, Orestes, a general. In 476 AD, the Germanic general Odoacer demanded land for his men. Orestes refused. Odoacer responded with steel. He killed Orestes, marched on Ravenna, and deposed Romulus Augustulus. Candle Chapter 8. The End of an Empire. There was no grand final battle. No hero standing atop a pile of rubble. The Western Roman Empire simply ceased to exist. Odoacer didn't crown himself emperor. He sent the imperial regalia to Constantinople, symbolizing that one emperor was enough, and that emperor lived in the east. Rome, once the heart of the known world, was now just a city in ruins. Chapter 9: Echoes of the Fall. The fall of Rome wasn't just a political shift. It was a civilizational collapse. Literacy faded. Trade routes died. Cities emptied. 1,000 years of knowledge began to flicker and vanish. But from those ashes, new kingdoms would rise. The Franks, the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire. Rome had fallen, but its shadow would loom forever. And so, the Eternal City fell. Not in one day, but over centuries of betrayal, greed, war, and pride. History doesn't scream, it crumbles.